Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Shita, and I really, truly look forward to this meeting. It's much different than any meeting we've had in the past, and so we look forward to it. Naples MacFriend User Group Worldwide Wednesday meeting, June 8th. Naples MacFriend User Group welcomes all of our members and guests from all over the world to today's meeting. Our Naples MacFriend User Group meetings are each and every Wednesday exactly at the same time from 11:30 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. They start on time and they 99% of the time end on time. You must be a member of Naples Mac User Group or an invited guest to attend our meetings, and that's basically for Zoom security purposes. We have 42 of these weekly Zoom meetings a year, and of course, our 10 world famous classes each and every year. We're also very excited to always welcome our members from other Mac user groups from around the world, and here's a representation of the groups that they represent. And if for any reason you do not see your logo up here, please make sure you get it to myself or Mike Wozniak, and we'll make sure it's on our other user group board. We're very proud of this group of people, and we also encourage them to stay within their local groups also. We also would like to bring your attention to our NaplesMug.com website. All of the information about everything that goes on within our group is attached to the website, and please take advantage of it and encourage your friends and neighbors and so forth who could be interested to also check it out. Also, our message board is open 24/7 between our members in Australia and our members all over the rest of the world. The message board is open 24/7. So if you're having a problem with your Mac, please utilize the message board, and also all current information is being sent to you through the message board. Anything related to Apple or anything at all related in the Apple world. We have two meetings this year. We thought we needed two meetings to cover WWDC 22 properly. Actually, the second meeting of the two will be Adam Inkst, and Adam is the author and publisher of Tidbits, and everything that Adam talks about at the meeting on the 29th will be computer related. He'll talk about the new MacBook Air, the new MacBook Pro 13-inch, the new M2 chip, and of course, the new operating system, Mac OS Ventura. So we've broken this down into two parts. The first meeting will actually be our own internal iOS expert, Mitch Briers, and Mitch will cover the iPhone, the iPad, and the Apple Watch. And so this approach to this WWDC this year will be in two meetings. And I encourage you to make sure you're at both of them. It was a very exciting announcement, and we're thrilled to present it. On the 15th, we're going to have, June 15th, we're going to have Jeff Carlson with us. Jeff Carlson's going to talk about computational photography, explain what's going on. The world of photography is totally changing again. And he will explain what is occurring. And he's also written many take control books. He's been a speaker and a class instructor with us over the years, and we're thrilled to have him back. And then, of course, today, excuse me, today is our trivia. And this is a different meeting than we usually have. Tim Neudecker is with us. He's a trivia. What do you call yourself, Tim?
I'm an Apple fanatic.
Apple fanatic. Okay. So, Tim, welcome. We really appreciate you doing this meeting.
Thank you.
And it's all yours. Thank you very much.
All right. If I can be given permission to share my screen.
Sure.
There we go. Whoop. Other host. There we go. Okay. Thank you for the kind introduction. Let me just slide that over. Okay, so again, my name is Tim Neudecker. I live in Wisconsin right now. As I mentioned, I'm an Apple fanatic. I've been actively using Apple products since 1978. So I've been in the game for a while. I've worked for Apple for a few years. I left Apple to go work at Next when Steve left. And I still have a functioning Next station in my house. So I've kind of lived through a lot of this trivia we're going to go through. I was glad to hear there's a few members who specialize in iPhones and watches. We have some questions just for you. So let me do this. So what we're going to do is have fun today, okay? Sheeta will be our primary judge, and she will be keeping score, watching who enters their questions, answers into the chat, picking out whoever answers the question correctly first, and keeping that score. Again, there's no prize today. This is just for fun, but it's always fun to know you got the most questions right. I only have about 150 questions in this slide deck. I had to prune it down from the original 300. So we should be able to get through it in our time limit. And don't be afraid to call malarkey. If you don't agree with one of my answers, put it in the chat and Sheeta will let me know and we'll talk about it. So that's what this is all about. And I have been proven wrong on many of these questions, and I've updated the questions. I've done this presentation probably 6 times now, so it should be pretty accurate, but I'm always proven wrong. Did I hear a question coming in?
I do have a question. I'm hearing distorted audio. Am I the only one hearing distorted audio from you, Tim? Can someone else chime in and let me know if it's just me?
Mine is perfectly clear.
Okay, all right, it's just me.
Clear.
All right, great. It's just me then. All right, I just wanted to make sure that audio was fine. All right, Tim, go ahead, it's all yours.
All right, I will speak slowly for Sheeta today.
Thank you.
You have to excuse me. I get excited. I love this. It's so much fun, and I will start talking real fast and rambling for hours. But let's dive right into it with some real simple questions. I got to get my cursor back in PowerPoint. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. Round 1. How much RAM did the Apple I have?
So put your answers. Oh, Charles Anthony. Whoa, okay, so we have several different responses to that.
Quite a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I don't see the right answer yet, so I'm going to wait for a second.
All right, keep going with your answers
Okay.
then.
So that looks like, yeah, that's it. So the Apple I, this is 1976 we're talking about. This is a long time ago. It only had 4 kilobytes of memory. Okay. Remembering a megabyte is a million. This is only 4,000 bytes. Okay. So let's move up to something a little more current that members may know about. How much RAM did the first Macintosh have?
All right.
Okay, I see some right answers already coming in. It was 128 kilobytes.
Okay.
Okay, we're still not up into the megabytes or gigabytes yet. Okay, now here's a good one, but pay attention. How much RAM did the first iPhone have? So I think we're talking back about 2007. Okay, I don't see a right answer, but it's a trick question. I don't think anybody here knows how much RAM their phone has. Apple doesn't promote that number very much. What Apple promotes is the storage, the flash, which David called out correctly, but it does have RAM, and it only had 128 megabytes of RAM to run Safari and all the other stuff that was in it. So,
Right. So no one got that right.
No one got that one right, but let's make it something that people may understand a little better. How much storage could you get in the first iPhone? Which is different than RAM. This is what we normally think about. I'll go with Bob there with the 8 megabytes. That is the middle of the line. You could actually get 3 different iPhones at its first launch. In fact, Bob, Michael, and David all were correct with their answers.
Okay.
So you could get 4, 8, or 16 gigabytes of storage in the original iPhone. So how much storage did the first iPod have? In fact, we honored the iPod leaving the world here just this month. The last iPods were sold. So the first iPod, there we go, David got it, 5 gigabytes for the first iPod. It was actually a physical hard drive. Okay, what about the watch? How much storage did the first Apple Watch have? Which technically was the Apple Watch 1, but they just called it Apple Watch. And it looks like Paul got it right with 8 gigabytes. Now, it's interesting with that first memory. Yeah, you had 8 gigabytes of storage in the watch, but you could only use 2 gigabytes for music and 75 megabytes. I'm sorry, 2 gigabytes for music and 75 megabytes for photos. So even though you had all this storage, you couldn't actually use it all. The processor just wasn't powerful enough at that time. It was used for the OS and other stuff.
All right. Was that Paul or Bob that got that right?
I'm having a hard time telling where the next question starts and the last question ends.
It was Bob. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Bob.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
So we'll start the next one here at 10:41. Okay, how much storage can you get in the largest iPhone today? If you went out, I don't have a slide this question. I'm going to throw this one out there, but I do have an answer. What's the biggest iPhone you can get today? Looks like Michael got it. 1 terabyte of storage is the biggest iPhone you can get today. So that's pretty good, because with the iPhone 12 before the 13, you could only do 512, and now it's up. Oh, that's memory. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Okay. How much data fit on a single-sided Apple II floppy? This is the original floppy drive for the Apple II. How much data could you store on that? All right. David again, nailing them. David, you are doing good. The 143, absolutely correct. That is great. So this is big 5¼ inch floppies. This isn't the little Macintosh floppies. These are the Apple IIs. Okay, so let's take that question to the Mac. The very first Macintosh, how much data could we store on a Mac floppy when it first came out in 1984? Oh, people are stumbling. Yeah. There we go. Don't see a right answer yet. I see somebody said 640K. That's what the original PC said. There we go. Looks like Jerry Schultz nailed it at 400K. Not a whole lot of data. I mean, I sent emails bigger than 400K today, and that was the whole floppy back then. Okay. After a while, Apple upgraded the floppies to Sony's HD drive, which was still the 3.5 inch format. How much data fit on one of those? Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Looks like Michael nailed another one. And that's 800K. So it was really double-sided. It used both sides of the disk instead of one side. Now, way back in the day, Apple II users used to keep a hole punch right next to their computer, just always sat on the desk right there. Why in the world would you need a hole punch to use an Apple II?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah. David's very close. If he could elaborate a little more. There, no. Well, okay, I'll take the right, I'll take David's answer. It was to remove the write protection from a disk. So you used to put a sticker over a notch, and when that notch was covered up, you couldn't write to the disk. It was read only. Okay, and what we would usually do is you could actually write to both sides of the disk. So you would buy single-sided floppies for $10 a piece instead of $15 a piece for double-sided, and you'd punch a hole in the other side, and now you made your single-sided disk a double-sided disk, and you could save money on floppies. So it was quite a great trick, a little hardware hack. In the original Apple logo, what scientist is drawn in the picture? Oh boy, how many people remember the Apple logo? Hey, Michael's nailing it again with Newton. And there's that original logo, Newton under the apple tree. Very good.
I think David got that one first.
Was that David? Okay.
Yeah, David got that one first.
Yeah, David.
Okay.
There we go. What scientist sued Apple in the early 1900s? Oh, Liam got it already. Look at that. Other people on track? It was Carl Sagan. And why did Apple change the code name of the PowerMac in response to this lawsuit? So they were calling this PowerMac 7100 the Sagan, the Carl Sagan, as its code name while they were designing it. And he sued them to change it. What did they change it to in response to the lawsuit? Ha ha! Liam got it too. Butt head astronomer, the BHA model. So Apple used to have a sense of humor, if you could believe it. That was great. Okay, what singer sued Apple in 1994? Here's some answers, but 1994 is the wrong year on that. Yeah, nobody's got it yet. It was actually Bob Dylan. And it's because they were developing a new programming language based on Lisp, kind of a artificial intelligence type language. And it was called Dylan. And it was short for dynamic language. So they called it Dylan, and they codenamed it Bob Dylan, and he didn't like that. So they took that name away. What was the name of the first personal computer virus? Ooh, first virus. It's been a while since we've had a virus on a Mac, and believe it or not, the first virus was an Apple virus. It was on Apple machines, not DOS machines.
Really?
Nobody? Yeah, it was called the Elk Cloner. It was written in 1982 for the Apple II machines. And that was what it was called. And what it would do when you got it, it was written by a 15-year-old. And I believe he was at Berkeley. His father was a professor there. And he wrote this, and it spread from disk to disk. And then every 50th boot, it would just throw this poem up on the screen to brag about itself. So it was the first one. It didn't do anything malicious other than annoy you. It didn't damage any data. But let's take it to the Macintosh. What was the name of the first virus on a Macintosh? Hey, looks like David got it there, the NVIR. And you can Google that one up, and that spread around on floppies back in 1987. So, Okay, let's move forward in time a little bit. The PowerBook 500 came out around 1994. What was so amazing about it? What was the great new thing that nobody had ever seen before when they got a PowerBook 500?
So we have answers like trackball,
Yeah.
color, 2 batteries.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
not what I'm looking for.
Anyone else?
It actually had a trackpad. It was the first trackpad on a laptop in the world. So
All
that was one of Apple's big inventions, was the trackpad.
Okay, Liam was close, but we can't give you half a point, Liam. Sorry.
Not a trackball.
Yeah.
All the laptops until then had trackballs, and they were annoying. Took lots of room.
What
So
a
Apple
choice.
was the first companies to release an optical mouse. Another innovation from Apple. What year did the first optical mouse come out from Apple? Some numbers coming in. I don't see a correct one yet. They're all back a little bit too far. It was actually in the year 2000. It was the Apple Pro mouse, and it was in production until 2005. So up until then, I don't know how many folks remember having to clean your mouse balls every week. You get the Q-tips and the alcohol, and you're scrubbing the little wheels.
Yes.
That's all a thing of the past. Okay. What was the first Mac to have an Intel processor?
Okay.
Nobody's even guessing on this one. What model Mac was the first to have an Intel processor? Okay. Well, it's actually a trick question. It was the Centris 610, which actually had a Motorola chip in it, but you could get an option to have an Intel processor added to it as a card, so you could run kind of a version of Parallels and run DOS in the machine. So you could dual boot off the Intel chip and be a Windows machine if you wanted. So it was kind of a trick versus the migration. So let's ask the question again. What model Mac was the first to be based on an Intel processor? I'll change it a little. See if people were able to Google up the right answer quick enough. What model Mac was the first to be based? I'm seeing like PowerMac 9500s, 8100s, things like that. Well, I mean, that was another trick question.
Oh.
It wasn't a publicly available Mac. You had to be a member of the Apple Mac development crew and go to the Worldwide Developers Conference, and you could be issued a prototype Mac to start writing your software for Intel to get that first Mac that was going to be Intel based. So let me rephrase the question instead of trick questions for you. What consumer model Mac was the first to be based on an Intel processor? Liam got it. All right, he's caught on to my trickery. So it was the Apple MacBook Pro, and it was the first Mac you could buy with an Intel chip processor that actually ran the Mac OS. So and it doesn't seem like that was that long ago, but my word, that's almost 20 years ago that we switched to Intel. Pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
All right, so we are, let me say this, we have David and Liam are tied for first place. They have 3 questions answered. Okay,
right.
Go guys.
Okay, and again, we're still in round 1. There's a lot more to come. Okay, here we go. These are going to get a little easier now. Before naming OS X releases after surfing locations in mountains, Apple used to use the names of big cats. What was the first version of OS X 10.0 codenamed? I'm seeing all kinds of cat names come up, but I actually don't see the answer yet. Oh, there it is. David got it, I think. If you double check that one for me, Sheeta. It was
David
Cheetah.
got it.
Okay, let's check a couple more. Some big time OSs that were fairly important. 10.6, what was it called? That's correct, Snow Leopard.
That was Edwin. Mhm.
Okay, what was so special about 10.6? Anybody remember why that was such an important version of the Mac OS? It played a big role in Mac history. A lot of money. That's a good one. Oh, well, it was very stable, but it was the first version of Mac OS that no longer supported Motorola chipsets. Rosetta went away, and you couldn't run those old versions of Quark Express and Photoshop. You had to move to custom software that was just for Intel at that time. No more fat binaries.
Oh.
Okay, what was 10.4 codenamed? I can hear all the keyboards going and the Googling. Yep, that was Tiger.
That's
Okay,
Edwin.
let's try one more. 10.3. Lots of good answers there. All right, and spelling won't count, so don't worry. Yep, Panther. Okay. Who designed the first Apple I? This is our softball for the day. Yeah, there we go. Everybody's getting that one right. Better know this one. Okay, that was Steve Wozniak. What was the first computer made by Apple that Steve didn't design? Seeing some questions go by here. Well, looks like nobody's got this one. That was actually the Apple III. So it was one of Apple's first big failures. And Steve didn't have a hand in that one, and it failed. What do you know? Okay. According to legend, the first Apple computer, the Apple I, was born on what date in 1976? Excellent. You nailed it. It was April Fool's Day. Mr. Wozniak loved his April Fool's Day.
Right,
and how much did that computer sell for? What was the price of an Apple I on April Fool's Day? Lots of good answers. It was actually $666. I'm not going to count the pennies, so I think we're Edwin. No, Jane. You figured out. I'm sorry.
Yep, James was the first to get that. Good job.
Excellent. Okay. In the early days of the Apple II, it was the third most popular computer out there. You know, you had the Commodore and the Trash 80, TRS-80, sorry, showing my bias. What was the big killer application that came out for the Apple II that made it super popular and sales take off? I'm seeing lots of good answers. And it was VisiCalc, which was one of the first spreadsheets. And that just put it into the business thing, and people started using it in offices. And then people needed them at home because we didn't have portables at the time. And that was a great program. What year was the last Apple II made? When did we stop getting Apple IIs? I like James's answer. That makes sense. You would think that's correct. But the Apple II was a very popular product, and the Mac took a long time to take off. It was actually 1993 that they stopped making the Apple II. If you can believe it lasted that long. Okay, could you imagine a computer model that came out today lasting, let's see, that would be 78, 5, 6 years of still making the same model? We'd lynch Apple if they kept the model around that long now. Okay. What was the last Apple II model to be introduced? Because they kept adding all kinds of letters to the end of the name. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Seeing lots of answers go by, but I haven't seen the right one yet. The 2GS was close, but they released one more after that. And that was the Apple IIc Plus, which was their portable. If you could imagine, but I think luggable was more accurate for the name, because you had to carry a CRT around. There was a LCD panel, but it cost more than the computer. And it was only 40 columns by 20 or something. It was absolutely horrid. Okay. In 1982 and 83, the first clones appeared on the market of Apples. Now, these are Apple II clones, not Macintosh clones. I will clarify that. Who made the first clone of an Apple II? What company made Apple II clones?
No.
I haven't seen a right answer go by yet. Yeah. Well, it was a company called Franklin Computer Company, and they moved into personal organizers and stuff after that, if you remember when we got into digital organizers. So Apple wasn't happy. They tried all kinds of lawsuits and stuff like that, but they got reverse engineered. And Steve took care of that when they made the Macintosh by inventing the idea of ROM chips that were copyrighted, so you couldn't clone it without the ROMs. Okay, so speaking of those ROMs, Apple sold ROMs to allow real clones to be made of Macs. What year was the last of the legal Mac clones? Oh, that's a real close one. Yeah. Well, it's actually in 1998. And what else was special about that year? That's when Mr. Jobs came back to Apple and he killed the cloning. First thing he did when he came back. Like, no more clones. Yeah, 97, yep. And they couldn't stop them until 98. So that is correct. 97 when he came back. I'm sorry. Okay, what was the first Mac to have a USB port? Native, built in. That's right. It was the iMac. Looks like everybody got that one right. Okay. What was the first Mac to have a CD-ROM drive? Ooh, stretching back a little bit. Well, we got some people throwing some machines up there. Oh, looks like somebody nailed it there. It was the 2VX. That is correct. All right.
Good job.
What was the first Mac to have the ADB bus? Apple Desktop Bus. This is what we used to plug in keyboards and mice and trackballs with. So, well, I asked the first Mac, so not the 2GS. So it was the Mac 2, which, oh boy, when did the Mac 2 come out? Like 86 or something like that, I think the Mac 2 came out. So that's when we got rid of the old serial port. You remember the first Macs had a telephone cord to plug in the keyboards, and it was kind of coily and stretchy. And then they went to the ADB bus, and you could actually daisy chain keyboards and trackballs and all that good stuff. I still love my Kensington trackballs since that day.
I still have one too.
What was the last Mac to have an ADB bus? Because it all got replaced by USB. So what was the last Mac to have ADB? 100, I see, that's not it. So that was the PowerMac G3 in 1999. Yeah, that's right. Okay, now we're going to move out of some hardware and start talking about the company itself for a little while. Name the 3 founders of Apple Computer. In fact, I should probably just have you name the one oddball because everybody knows the first 2, right?
Mhm. Let's see. So far, no one has written that in yet. No one has written in an answer. Okay.
Also, there we go. That's right. So the key one I'm looking for is Ronald Wayne. If you've watched any of the Apple movies, he's the guy who goes to the garage where they're making Apple ones and offers them some money to make a real plastic case and make the Apple II and start them up as a real company. So that was Ronald Wayne.
Whatever
When
happened
he
to
left
Ronald Wayne?
Apple,
Yeah.
he sold his share. He was what we call an angel investor. He went around and he sold his 10% stake of Apple for how much? There we go. David nailed it. $800. Could you imagine owning 10% of Apple today? Be worth a little more than $800. Okay. Who designed the first Apple logo? Remember that picture of Newton under the tree with the apple we looked at earlier? Who actually drew that? Who's the artist? I don't see any answers. It was actually Ronald Wayne. That's besides giving him money to get started and get going. Oh, David got it. There we go.
Mm-hmm. All right, David,
So he
streaking
actually
ahead.
drew that first logo. Apple's first name, when they incorporated for the first time, what was the name of the company? They've changed names, I think, twice. So what was their first name?
No takers yet on that.
Yeah. That's pretty close. It was Apple Computer Inc. Yeah. So I'll take that first one there. That was Apple Computer Company.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. Before founding Apple, Steve Jobs worked where? Where was he working before they went to the garage and sold the van and did their thing? Steve Jobs. I see a lot of answers there, but there we go. He worked at Atari, making these things, video games. So, very good. While working at Atari, Steve was given a job to write a new game, and he hired his buddy, Steve Wozniak, to help him make it. What game did they make together? See some answers coming out. And it was Breakout. I don't know how many folks have played Breakout back in the days. It's like Pong, but for one player. It was actually an Atari arcade game, not for home games. Who did Steve Wozniak work for before founding Apple? There we go. That's right now. We had a lot of people saying HP for Steve Jobs, but that is correct. He worked at Hewlett-Packard.
All right. Good, Jerry. Okay.
Apple Computer named one of its computers after Steve Jobs' child. What was it?
Charles Anthony.
That story.
You're right. Before you even finish reading the question, Charles Anthony had the answer. Okay, good.
The chat's just scrolling off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's right. That's Lisa. Okay, so the Mac was like the first commercial computer you could buy with a GUI. Where did that GUI come from? Apple didn't invent that. There we go. We rolled them off the screen again. Okay, I gotta get some harder questions. We'll move on.
Okay.
But that's right. That's Xerox. They bought it from Xerox. Inside the original Apple Macintosh, they imprinted or engraved, I mean, it wasn't engraved, it was just molded in, I guess, the signatures inside of the 128 case. How many of those signatures are there? They're all the engineering team that helped design the Mac. A lot of numbers flying by. Yeah, don't see the right one. There's actually 48 of them. And this is what it looked like. They had them all sign a piece of paper. And then that piece of paper was engraved into the back of the inside of the case. So pretty cool. Who left their job at Pepsi-Cola to become Apple Computer's CEO? Another one everybody knows. Yes, that would be John. Who directed the famous 1984 Super Bowl ad? Very famous director. Yeah, that's right. Ridley Scott did that one for us. I think that only aired officially on TV one time. It's been shown on news programs since then, but I think Apple only paid once to ever have that aired. When Steve Jobs left Apple, he bought another company to run, and he bought it from George Lucas. What was that company?
My favorite. Okay, David Winograd got that one first.
Yeah, that was a quick one. That was Pixar. To get, let's see, okay, I'm sorry. To get Steve Jobs to come back to Apple, they had to really entice him with a salary. What did they pay him? What was his annual salary? Yeah, $1. I think he came out ahead on stock options, though. Okay. What was the first shipping product designed by Johnny Ives? How long ago did Johnny Ives start at Apple? Oh, no, he was long there before the watch. There we go. It was the 20th anniversary Macintosh. Has anybody ever seen one of those? I should put a picture of one of those on this slide.
I have, yes.
It was a forerunner to what the flat panel iMacs looked like. It was quite ingenious. I think Seinfeld had one in his show for a few seasons. You can see a 20th anniversary Mac in the back there. In 2003, Steve Jobs sold his New York City apartment because he was living in California all the time, working back at Apple. Who did he sell his apartment to? Very famous person. 2003. Oh, don't see it. It was Bono from U2. Yeah, oh, there we go. Charles got it. All right. Very good. Okay. There have been a lot of movies and made-for-TV movies about Steve Jobs. Name 3 actors who played Steve Jobs. And I think we can give a point to each person who gets one of them correct first.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
So does anybody know who's played Steve Jobs over the years? And all those movies were. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. All right, we got them all up there. Yeah.
So what are the answers?
Michael Fassbender, Ashton Kutcher, and Noah Wiley.
Okay.
And Noah Wiley was one of my favorites personally. I loved that Pirates of Silicon Valley. That was a great made-for-TV movie. Okay. Steve Jobs famously drove a Mercedes SL Convertible, and he never put license plates on it. How the heck does he get away with that? Now, I don't know if we need a thing typed in for this. This is, a good paragraph explanation, but see if anybody can explain that. Yeah, oh, wow, you guys actually got it in a short term. Okay, way to go, Alan. In California, you had 6 months to title your car. You didn't even have to title it and put a temp plate on it. You could drive it for 6 months when you leased it before you had to title it. And so he just got a new one every 6 months. That's making some money. Okay. What year was iTunes released? That's correct, 2001. So that's a 21 years, 22 years of iTunes. That's a long time. I guess we call it music now.
Well, I have a good question
when
to follow
iTunes
that
was
up.
released. Oh yeah. when iTunes
No.
was released, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, because you may
Okay,
have it.
okay.
You may have it in there.
Okay. When iTunes was released, it only worked on OS 9. What version of iTunes came out that worked for Windows so that iPod users didn't have to be Mac users? Whoops. Oh, I'm showing the answer. Duh. I deleted the wrong slide earlier. It's 4.1 was the version. I'm sorry. I messed up a slide when I was pruning questions.
That's right.
Okay.
I have a question related to that.
Yeah.
That might be a bonus question. Does and this is just for bragging rights, does anyone know what iTunes was called when Steve Jobs bought it from someone else? Do you have that question in there, Tim?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that one either. That's a great one.
I do know the answer.
Jeffrey, I see some answers coming by.
You got it correctly. Sound Jam. I actually bought that app.
Wow.
And it was Sound Jam. Okay.
Very cool.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
So where was the first public Apple store? New York City sounds like a bright answer, but it's not. It's a close one. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'll take Virginia. That's right. David's a little more, yeah, same person. So there we go. It was in Tyson's Corner Center Mall in Virginia. That was the first open one. What's so special about this image? Pretty low res. Sorry, I keep looking over here because that's where the chat is.
No problem. You got it.
Nobody know what that image is? Well, yeah, there's no Steve Jobs in it. That's true, but he was working there. So those are the engineers who made the Mac SE. When they designed the ROM chip for it, they had a little bit of extra room left in the chip, in its memory. So they snuck a digital image of themselves into it. So that's pretty cool. So you could, on these old original Mac SEs, you could run a program that would extract that image from the ROM chip so you could see it. Of course, they didn't tell anybody they did that until it was shipping.
Of course.
What is the old Apple main office street address before the UFO came around? I just need the street part. I don't need the city. There we go. Oh, almost. Almost, actually. Yeah, looks like Liam got it. One Infinite Loop. Good name for a loop. In 2011, Apple beat the US government in what key measure? Oh, doggone it. There we go. I hit the arrow too hard and we went 2 slides forward.
Well, we can't hit them.
In 2011, Apple had more cash in the bank than the US government. That's pretty scary. That's a big company. Okay, we're gonna have some rapid fire ones here. We're gonna look at some pictures of some people and you gotta tell me who they are. Okay, and they've all been CEOs of Apple. I'll give you the year just to make it a little easier.
So far, no take. So
Now
far,
we're
no
Googling
takers.
up Apple CEO 1977. There we go. That was Michael Scott. Then we went to, everybody thinks Scully was the first one, but there were a few before him. I don't see any answers yet for this one. Nobody remembers Mike? He was only there for a couple of years, so here's one everybody remembers. Who was this guy? There we go. That's right. That's John Scully, Mr. Sugarwater himself. When he got the boot, this guy took over. Who's this? There we go. Yeah, that's right. That's Michael Spindler. And then my favorite, didn't do much for Apple, but he was a cool guy. Who was this one? Yeah, Emilio, an actual technology person. And who was the CEO from 97 to 2011? That's right. I couldn't show a picture because everybody would get it. That was Steve Jobs. That's right. Okay, during the 2000s, who played the PC in the famous Mac versus PC ads? Hi, I'm a Mac. Hi, I'm a PC.
No takers.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
There we go. Google's running a little slow. John Hodgman. Well, then, who played the Mac? There we go. Yep. All right. Now, here's a tough one for you. In Mountain Lion, the TextEdit application's icon, that wasn't just gibberish or lines drawn over that icon. It was actual text to, what was it? What was the actual text that was there? It has a name. It's a poem.
Got them
You
stumped
could
for a
actually
second.
zoom in and kind of read it at the time.
Mhm.
So it was a poem called The Crazy Ones, which Apple based an entire ad campaign on. And they called it the Crazy Ones ad campaign. And this is the actual text of the poem. You've probably heard it. And they called that ad campaign Think Different, if you remember those. So they released a ton of great posters. And what I'd like you to do is name the famous person that was used in this Apple ad. Who is that?
Charles
Yeah,
Anthony.
there we go. Okay, who's this crazy one? There we go. That's right. Alfred Hitchcock. Who's this one? Yeah, that's right. Pablo Picasso. And this person thinking different?
Mm.
We got some good spelling going on this time. But you're right, Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, how about this one? Yep, there we go. Yeah, it is Thomas Edison. Okay, here's one for you. This is going to stretch your brains a little. Who is that? Oh, wow. We got a sharp bunch with us today. Usually this one and the next one are missed. People aren't up on the arts as much. Yeah, that's right. Martha Graham. Very good. Okay, what about this one? Think Different. Okay, cool. So since that was Joan Baez, what's special about Joan Baez and Apple? She has a link to Apple besides being in their Think Different poster. That's right. Liam nailed it. She used to date Steve Jobs for a while. Okay, who's this one? Another Think Different person. Yep, that's right. Ansel Adams. And who's this guy? Think Different. Uh-oh. Yep, there we go. Richard Feynman, famous physicist. What year was the first iPod sold? (2001) is correct. What year was the first iPad sold? There we go. 2010 is when the iPad came out, long after the phone. And the iPad was actually supposed to be the first product before the iPhone.
Yes,
They
it
just
was.
couldn't deal with the big screens yet.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a I'm sorry. Yep. What year? I'm sorry. We'll throw this one out. I misread my question. What year was the first Apple tablet sold? And that was 1993, and that was the Newton. And that was supposed to be a trick question because you're going to say iPad or iPhone, but it was the Apple Newton in 93. What was the first word processing program for an Apple computer? Now, as I say Apple computer, I don't say Mac. Word processing program. It was Easy Writer for the Apple II. Yeah, it was a competitor to WordStar back in the day. Who wrote Easy Writer? Very famous nerd. Easy Writer. No, it was a man named John Draper. He's a very famous nerd. Now, John Draper worked for Apple doing both hardware and software. He also designed a piece of hardware for the Apple II. Anybody know what that was? Yeah, no, it was called the Charlie board. John Draper was also known by another name, Captain Crunch. He was a famous phone freak who taught the Steves how to make blue boxes and make free phone calls around the world back when the phone system was analog. And John Draper made a blue box that you could put in an Apple II to make free phone calls and rip off Ma Bell with your Apple II. It also took sound into the computer and let people build the first voicemail systems. So this is in the late 70s. They basically invented digital voicemail and phone trees. Press 4 for that, 5 for this to route calls. That stuff didn't exist until this guy made this board. But Apple couldn't sell it because it was pretty much criminal to give this thing away being a blue box. So pretty amazing stuff. Okay, so take a short break. Let me get a drink of water, then we'll start round 2. How are we doing on score?
Oh, wow. We have David Abramowitz at 17 correctly answered questions. And in second place is Liam. In third place is David. And those are the top 3 answers. So those 3 guys are just smoking it.
Okay. Well, I've only got, looks like about 50 plus slides here. And most of them don't have answer slides. So this round should be a little bit shorter. But here we go. We're going to look at some photos of old Apple equipment. And I need you to tell me the name of this model. Okay. What is that? And I had to get a photo that was small enough so you couldn't just read the model off the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take David's answer there. That's a PowerMac 140. I'm sorry. So that's a PowerBook 140. It was a black and white. The P meant it had the progressive screen versus the interlaced screen. And you can't really tell looking at it which screen it has. Okay, what is that thing? Yeah, that's a Mac TV. That was like the dorm room computer. So you'd have your TV, it had a TV tuner built into it. And you could watch TV or use your computer, but you couldn't do both at the same time. It's like, come on, give me a break. Okay, what is that?
I loved this thing when it came out.
There we go. Excellent. Yes, that is the Mac Cube. And I regret selling mine. There's all these old Macs I have I wish I still had on the shelf just to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is that one? Yeah, that's a Lisa with what are called Twiggy drives. 5.25-inch floppies before the Sony 3.5s came out. Okay, what's that? Not really an Apple product. I guess that's a trick question. That's Breakout. Yes, that's right. That's the game Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak wrote as an arcade game. Okay, here's a good one. What is that one? Ooh. No, it's not a 5.4. There we go. It's a, yeah, that's a 5. Whoops, sorry. It's a 500. I'm pretty sure it's not a C. I think the C had a slightly larger screen and the contrast buttons might be different. It might be. I would probably have to take the 500C as the first one on there. Well, actually, I don't see a C in the name there. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it does.
The name is on the top. It's right there on the top.
Yeah, see, I put a clear picture in. I used to have blurry pictures, and that made it too easy to read. I didn't notice that. Drat. Okay, 540C, you're right. See, call malarkey on me. Okay, here's a hard one now. And it is an Apple thing. It's got a floppy in the side there. It's got a pull-out keyboard on the bottom, an LCD screen.
Not quite, Robert.
And I do see lots of people saying fax. It was also a fax machine. That is true. It was one of these all-in-one things, and it was called the Apple Paladin from 1995. And it was trying to be an all-in-one thing, and it never really got put into production. I mean, it was too crazy. Okay, here's one. During the dark days of Apple. There we go, the 6500, that's correct. The PowerMac 6500. Okay, for all you old timers in the PowerMac 6500 days, what in the world is that? It had a very specific name. Made by Connectix. A little smaller than a baseball. Yeah, the Quick Cam, the first popular webcam. And I think it was like 120 by 240 resolution or something stupid like that. It was crazy. Black and white in the first ones, and they had quick cam colors and stuff. And that quickly got replaced, quick cam quickly replaced by this. And this is an actual Apple product. What is that thing? Yeah, there we go. The old eyesight. Okay, I used to get beat up in my dorm for using this next product when I was in college. What is this? No. Yep, image writer. That's it. It's a dot matrix printer, and it was so noisy, especially if you did it in high quality to print out an essay or something. It would wake up everybody in the dorm. I mean, they would rather I turn my stereo up loud than print out an essay. And it was funny. And then here's this one. It's 50% wider than the first one. No, not a style writer. It's the Image Writer LQ. So it would do extra wide paper, usually in the green white stuff for accounting in the office when you had to print out large spreadsheets and stuff. Image Writer LQ. Okay, what is this beast? Yeah, there we go. That's an eMac. That was supposed to be the educational Mac. So it had and the big thing there is it had a flat screen, a Sony Triniton screen. It was very heavy, unlike the iMac, which was a lot lighter. It had much more of a curved screen, cheaper. Okay, what is that one? Oh, he tried with Ewok, but I think the autocorrect fixed him.
No, that was for the previous answer.
Oh, okay. Well, it's an eMate.
Okay, Liam,
So
got
that
it.
is correct. And that was another portable laptop for school children. It was supposed to be one of those universal computers you could send to people all around the world. And see that funny groove at the top? That was for a stylus. It actually had a touch screen. So that's pretty impressive. And I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. Okay, here's one for you. What is that? No, not a Mac 2. Not an LC. It's bigger than an LC. It's smaller than a Mac 2. It's probably Quadra 700 size in that ballpark. No, that's an Apple II GS. If you remember the Apple II world. Okay, what are these? Two different versions of the same thing, have the same, the good old Mac LC. Now, there was a special option you could buy for your LC, a card you could get put in it, and it looked like this. So it was a NUBUS card, and it went in horizontally. What is that? Close, not a DOS card. Well, no, it's not a DOS card. It would run the Apple. Yeah, it was the Apple card. That's right. It would run. So that was basically an Apple II on a board. So in schools, they could take out their Apple IIs that they had so much money invested in software on, and they could still run that software in the school on an LC. So it was basically an Apple II on a board, and the little plug on the back, that silver 25-pin plug, was for the floppy drive, so you could load your Apple II software, because Apple IIs didn't have 3.5-inch drives. Oh, what is that one? We need its formal name. What's the model name? Yeah, the Mac Portable. That's right. I think it weighed 19 pounds. Was not a laptop. It did not. It had a lead acid battery, a big brick that dropped in the back, and it was really heavy. But it was fast. It had a CMOS chip that was low power. And so it was the first time they started using silicone where they could get all the transistors smaller to have lower power, but it in turn made it faster. So it was faster than a normal Mac SE that it was battling against at the same time. Okay, what is that one? Oh my God, does Apple, anybody remember Apple's video game system? Anybody? No, they called that the Pippin. They called that the Pippin. And again, it was another Apple failure in the 90s. Yeah. Okay. We talked about this one earlier. What is that? Yeah, it is an optical mouse, but it's got a model name. There you go. The Apple Pro mouse. That is correct. So Liam, one of the first optical mice out there.
Liam just surged ahead.
Very cool. Very cool. What is that beast? This one's really tall. I mean, this is like 26 inches, 24 inches tall. This is not a little computer. No, this is before the 9100. It is a Quadra, but I need a full model. No, the double-digit numbers came out after this, and they were all metal. This one was still plastic. So this is the Quadra 900. So it was the first of the giant beast that had like 16 RAM sockets. So you could load the thing up with memory like you wouldn't believe. And I think it had 6 NUBUS slots. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay, what's that? And you could almost read the name on the cover there. It is an Apple II, but there's one more letter to it. Yeah, it's a 2E. That is correct. And the big giveaway that's the 2E, not a 2 Plus. The 2 Plus had the nameplate in the middle of the cover, not on the edge like that. So you can actually see that right here. There's the Apple II Plus, and it's got the name in the middle so it's easier to see. Okay, what is that one? There we go. That's an Apple IIc. Anybody got this one? There we go. And that's one I really wish I did sell. I sold my Newton to buy a Palm Trio so I could use it as a modem while I was on the train going to work. All right. Still have yours? Excellent. Excellent. I wish that's quite a piece of history right there. I consider that a direct descendant to the Apple phone. And the Apple message pad Newton got killed by this device. Yeah, that's the Palm. That's what killed it, the Palm Pilot. Oh boy, what is this one?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a quick take. That is absolutely correct. I took pictures at my sister's wedding in the early 90s with one of these. It can hold 16 photos in memory at 640 by 480 resolution. And it ran on AA batteries. So every 16 photos, I had to go back to my laptop in the other room outside the wedding reception, change the batteries, and download to the computer through a serial port. So it was like a 15-20 minute process to get those 16 photos off. And then I could go take 16 more crappy photos. But I was hot stuff because I had an Apple Quick Take. And now everybody's got one better in their pocket on their phone. All right, what's that one? This one's what really made the Mac a Mac. Yeah, this is the Laser Writer. The Mac was kind of fumbling along as a computer. And when the Laser Writer came out, desktop publishing became a thing. Everybody could print their own menus and letters and documents and stuff. And you didn't have to use that image writer anymore. So that's really what made Apple, I think, in my opinion, because that made the Mac practical. What are those? Yeah, that's right. Those are Apple Talk boxes. And that was some of the first networking. It actually started with the Lisa, and Apple added them into the Mac as well. And they worked through the serial port. And they would daisy chain your computers together to link things together. Okay, what is that? It says the name right on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody in the early 90s had one of these. This was like the de facto modem of the day, man. The Supra. First, it was a 1200 and 2800. Then they had a 5600. This was the modem to have. Oh my, what are those? And they're Apple products. You had to be special to have one. Those are Mac crackers. They were used to open the one-piece Macs, the SEs, the Classic, the original Mac 512. So you take the screws out, but you still had to pull the case apart. And you'd stick this thing in the seam and twist it. It would pop it open. Or you'd wedge in this other one and squeeze the handles together to pop it open. So yeah, they're the original Mac crackers.
Tim, we
talked about this one earlier.
We have 5 minutes, Tim.
Okay. I don't know where I am. Yeah, I've only got 30 more slides, so I'll move fast. Anybody know what this one is? Yep, that's a 20th anniversary Mac. That is correct. There's a famous one. It has a handle. That's the original iBook. That is correct. What are those? I need a real name, not just iPod. That's right. Those are shuffles. That is correct. And then what's that one called? Even tinier. Look at that, size of a key. Yep, that's the Nano. That is correct. Now, this is one I was angry that they didn't make anymore. I still use one. And it's hard to use because not many new computers have the Wi-Fi that this gives out. This is an Airport Express. It was great for traveling. You could plug it in at a hotel and give everybody in your room Wi-Fi before all the hotels had Wi-Fi. So pretty cool. And then what is that thing? About the size of a dinner plate. That's the original Airport, not the Extreme, just the Airport. And it was the first one, 802B. Everybody know what that is? That's called a duo disc, and that was the fancy disc for the Apple II when they stopped using individual disk drives. You could buy one cable, hook up 2 drives, quite fancy. Oh, what is that? Another fairly recent Apple piece of history there. Yeah, it is a home speaker. There it is, the hi-fi. They called it the Apple Hi-Fi. And you just plug your iPod in the top and blast out music. What is that? Not really an Apple product, but pretty Apple related. That's the next cube. That's right. Our OS 10. This is what it first ran on. Right there. The next cube. All right. There's another mouse. You know what this mouse was called? We got Magic Mouse. No. See? The Magic Mouse is the flat one with the touch screen on top. This one actually has a little trackball on the top. Crappy mouse. That's a pretty good one. I did not care for it much. I agree, Dad. So this was called the Mighty Mouse. Oh, this is one that was of dreams. It was super expensive. This is about the same time as the 20th anniversary Mac. This was a CD-ROM drive and home CD player that you could hook up to your stereo and your computer. And it was called the Power CD. What is that thing? I actually just threw 6 of those away yesterday. If you can believe that. Yeah, that's an Xserve. I've still got 6 of them in the server room next door to me still running. So, okay, this next one's pretty famous. Remember it? Oh, let's show it first. Who remembers this thing? It worked on Apple IIs and Macs. And if I told you that black part of it looks just like a printer ribbon cartridge for the image writer. You stick this in your image writer and it was a scanner. So instead of printing a picture, you would put a picture in your printer and this would click it through one line at a time, go back and forth and scan the picture in black and white. It was called a Thunder Scan. And it was one of the first scanners you could get to the Mac. Pretty impressive. Okay.
Right, Tim.
And it was great because, yeah.
We have run out of time. We need to
Okay.
end. Okay. So with that, I want to say thank you all for participating in our trivia contest for bragging rights. And I do want to say that in 3rd place, we have David Winograd with 13 correct answers. In 2nd place, we have David Abramowitz with 24 correct answers. And in 1st place, bragging rights, Liam Woolley with 27 correct answers.